Hello Pokemon fans, I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries, and we are going to kick off our week of Nationals decks here. We're going to be featuring the top 8 decks that placed in Nationals this year in 2015, as you can see right here. We're going to first take a look at what won first place. As much as I really don't want to go over this deck because I absolutely hate it, it did manage to take second place, and I think that it deserves our first look anyways, because the deck that did win is a variant of Toad that we're already familiar with. So let's start with something unique and different, and as much as I hate to say it, creative deck here, and that's going to be Wailord. This deck took second place and really threw everyone for a loop at Nationals. I remember when I was playing in Swiss on Friday, I just went, what? When I heard Wailord was undefeated through, I don't even remember how many rounds. It was a lot of rounds though. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't imagine how it would work. Well, then I came to see it and realized, oh, this makes sense. So let's take a look at the deck here. It's very, very simple as far as the Pokemon lineup. You've got... put those over there. We got 4 copies of Wailord EX, 250 HP. The ability and attack are pretty much not even worth mentioning because you don't use them in the deck. It's just supposed to sit there and waste time for you. It's ridiculous. It really is, guys. 250 HP is very, very difficult to knock out in one shot. Most decks cannot do it. Even when you're hitting for weakness on grass, you need a Virizion Genesect deck, and the only way you can do it is with Genesect's G-Booster. So yeah, it's really, really difficult to knock this guy out. So the idea is to just sit behind this Wailord EX here and just pass the turn and heal the thing, and pass the turn and heal it, and it's ridiculous. But there's our first Pokemon there. We'll set that over there. And there's only one other Pokemon in this deck, and that's 3 copies of Suicune with the Safeguard ability. This is another stall tactic to prevent all effects of attack, including damage done to this Pokemon by Pokemon EX. This is another thing that just sits there while you try to find another Wailord. That's all it does. It just sits there. Again, there's no attacking with this deck. It's pretty crazy, but it worked apparently for Enrique Avila, who took second place. So the rest of this deck is all going to be trainers. As crazy as it is, we have 4 copies of Pokemon Fan Club. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So this is the way you're going to get out your Wailords and your Suicunes really quick. That way you don't miss any of them and end up running out of Pokemon. Next up, we've got draw support in the form of N. Shuffle your hand into your deck, both players, and draw a card for each remaining prize card. You don't want to be discarding with this deck, so N is your supporter of choice for that reason. It just keeps your cards recycling. We've got 3 copies of Skyla. Search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. This can get anything that has the word trainer above it, so it's very, very useful into getting healing cards and things like that out of this deck. As soon as Wailord starts taking damage, the first thing you can do is start doing things like playing Cassius. 4 copies of Cassius, shuffle 1 Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. This is what keeps your Wailords alive. Do a bunch of damage to it, heal it all off by just picking it up and putting it back into the deck. It's pretty, pretty ingenious, but it definitely worked out well. And alongside Cassius, we also have 4 copies of AZ. Put 1 Pokemon into your hand and discard all cards attached to it. So even if you have to discard a tool that's attached to it, it's not a big deal. You're picking it up, you're saving it, you can put it right back down on the bench and acting like there was no damage done at all. So it's really, really frustrating to whoever's playing against you for that reason. It's just ridiculous, guys. We also play some energy denial cards in the form of Team Flare Grunt. 4 copies, discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. This is how you really stall your opponent out, by getting rid of their energy. There's no such thing as Lysander's trump card anymore, so you can make them deck out, make them run out of energy, simply by just discarding it with cards similar to Team Flare Grunt. Also have 2 copies of Lysander. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. It's a way to, again, stall and bring up something that may not have any energy on it, that your opponent may not have a way of getting any energy to, or switching out of that position. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. There are 2 copies of Hue in this deck. It's so uncommonly used that I had to print 1 proxy. I only own 1 Hue for my set binder. This is where it gets crazy, because if your opponent starts to realize, oh, I know what's going on, I'm just going to keep my cards in my hand, well, Each player draws or discards until he or she has 5 cards remaining in his or her hand. So even if you manage to get a huge hand size and you think you're going to end it all back in, nope. This is where you play Hue, make them discard it, and really shrink down the size of their deck. It's pretty brutal, honestly, but yeah, I had to put up a proxy because I only have 1. That's how rare this card is from Boundaries Crossed. Hue has never seen competitive play until now. So, there's that. We also have one more draw supporter in the form of Shauna. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 5 cards, similar to N. We have a single copy of Xerosic. Discard a special energy or Pokemon tool attached to a Pokemon in play, whether yours or your opponent's. Gets rid of those head ringers if you want to put a tool attached to Wailord, or get rid of one of your opponent's special energies or their tools, or whatever you want to do with it. That's what Xerosic is there for. Now onto the items. We've got 4 copies of VS Secret to get back any of these supporters. As you may have noticed, there is a huge line of support in this deck. Alone, there's 7, 10, 14, 18, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 7. There's 28 supporters in this deck. And if you should happen to need to get any of them back, this makes a way to get 32 supporters out of this deck. It's just insane. I mean, you're going to have a lot of turns in this game, so you're going to get a chance to play most of these supporters over and over again. I mean, it's brutal. If you watch the finals match at all, I just can't even describe words. It's insane. So we're going to also play 3 copies of Enhanced Hammer to discard a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is a good way to get DCEs off of Pokemon such as Seismitoad or any Night Marchers or things like that. Another annoying thing here is to play 4 copies of Max Potion. Heal all damage from one of your Pokemon and discard all the energy attached to it. You never attach energy to either of these Pokemon, so you can constantly just Max Potion away all the damage if you don't have a card that picks it up, like Cassius or AZ or something like that. To put it back into your hand or into the deck, that's the simplest way to do it there. Item-based healing. The tool of choice to be attached to Wailord here is going to be a Hard Charm. All damage done to this Pokemon this card is attached to by opponent's attacks is reduced by 20. This makes Wailord essentially a 270 HP Pokemon that has to be knocked out in one shot, or else you're going to pay the consequences with healing cards and scooping cards and everything else. So you have to do 270 to knock this thing out, and it pretty much can't be done. Not at this point in the game anyways. But that was the beauty of this deck, is being able to hide behind cards like this and just pass the turn back to your opponent and heal off any damage. Deck them out. So 4 copies of Hard Charm. We have a single copy of Trick Shovel. Look at the top card of either player's deck. You may discard that card or return it to the top of the deck. It's one way to just discard an extra card there from your opponent's deck. We also have a single copy of Startling Megaphone should we happen to need to get rid of anything on the board. Startling Megaphone will do it. If you have anything on your opponent's Pokemon that has to be knocked off, such as a Muscle Band or G-Booster like I said earlier, that will do the job. We also have a single copy of Dowsing Machine, which is our A-Spec for the deck, which actually adds a 33rd way to get back any of these supporters. It's just ridiculous, guys. It really is. We also have a single copy of Sacred Ash. I guess I got a little bit out of order there. Last item for the deck is Sacred Ash. Shuffle 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. So if you should happen to knock out any of the Wailords or Suicunes, you can get them right back into your deck by doing this. Finally, we're going to go over the stadium cards. We've got 4 copies of Rough Seas, yet another healing card for this huge water-type Pokemon. Once during each player's turn, that player may heal 30 damage from his or her water and electric Pokemon. So now you're also healing 30 damage off a Wailord in between turns, along with a Hard Charm. This thing is just nasty, nasty, nasty. Almost impossible to knock this thing out due to cards like this. Also, we have 2 copies of Silent Lab. Each basic Pokemon in play in each player's hand and each player's discard pile has no abilities. I don't really know where this would be a huge factor for you, but there are matchups that I guess you could use it for to shut down your opponent, and you're not so worried about getting your Suicunes knocked out, because losing 1 or 2 prizes or up to 3 is not so bad, because you still got your huge wall in Wailord. So, notice anything missing, guys? Because that's the whole deck. That's all 60 cards. There's no energy in this deck. It's just insane. Apparently a group of people from Wisconsin came up with this idea, and they pretty much came to the tournament and surprised everyone. And they did a darn good job of it. As much as I hate the deck, I have to give them props, because this was very, very well done. Quite an impressive showing by all of the people who played this deck, and especially Enrique Avila, who got second place in the national championships with this deck. So this is just one of the decks that was featured in the top 8 of US Nationals 2015. We will have all of the other decks featured as well over the course of this week. This is the week of Nationals, so we will have that along with something at the end of the week as well, or maybe the beginning of next week for you guys to enjoy as well, just to kind of close out this week of Nationals and make it interesting for you guys. So stick around for all of the other decks, competitive profile, and explanations behind how they work in the future. So stay tuned tomorrow, and we will see you guys next time. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and take care.